Hello, great ones. This is part 2 of a conversation I had with Black professionals who consist of therapists, coaches, and parents against corporal punishment.
They're trying to hold on to a piece of it in such a matter
Personally,
that they're
firsthand.
trying to make it make sense.
Yeah, even firsthand, I've seen it where, even the mother and having that type of relationship, that abusive relationship with their daughter, that does something to the daughter. Like that does something. I mean, obviously, I'm not a woman, so I can't speak on it as far as firsthand knowledge. But it's just saying, seeing from a personal perspective, seeing relatives or whatnot, that dynamic between that mother and the daughter, that's really something. And I do believe that whoopings or beatings or whatever has a lot to do with that as well. So I just wanted to say that. And
I can agree with that statement.
I agree too.
We've taught our, the father can't hit the daughter. Okay, that's fine. But like you said, when the mother is then hitting that son all the time, so much of it is, what do you think he's going to do if he identifies as straight and he's in argument with his girlfriend, with his fiance, with his wife? He is going to lash out at her with all of the rage that he could not give to you. And that is what happens, with so many. I had talked about this before with like mentoring programs, etc. I always listen to our teenage girls, and when they're talking about getting in the guy's face and doing all of that, and I have to say, so what happens if he hits you, right? What happens if you think that I mushed him in his face? Why is he not supposed to mush you back? Well, because the man's not supposed to hit a woman. Oh, okay, so a woman is supposed to hit a man, right? And so that it just becomes this thought of, it's really because what we continue to see. You can't sit up here and, just emasculate your 17-year-old son and then tell him, but make sure you treat women with respect. And so then he's in conflict, which is inevitable. And he's in conflict, and it might not be that he hits her, but it might be that he cheats on her all the time. It might be that he doesn't value her. It might be that he doesn't, listen to her at times. It might be that he's dismissive of her. It really might be all of that, right? So we always think, well, he never gonna hit a woman. But if that's fine, but that's one thing, but it's 15 other things that he will do. Right. And so you're like, that can't be. When you say, when I close my eyes, I'm a great mom because my son never hit a woman. But what about all the other things that he did to her? And that's not her fault, not even really on him. He's doing to her what he never got to release to you, because you're hitting him. And the truth of the matter is, if we really want to be honest, sometimes some of our mothers are hitting the sons because it's what you wish you did to their father. So you're hitting him like he's your husband or your boyfriend.
Again.
Yeah, he's not your husband or your boyfriend. He's your son.
Correct.
But you're hitting him because he's a man to you, but he's not your man. He's a child to you forever.
That's
right? That's just, one of the challenges that we have.
That's a whole nother
conversation, right?
Yeah.
But that's a touch of, not on a Sunday night.
It's on the same continuum. It's on the same continuum. I feel like it all ties in. It all.
It's definitely on the same wavelength, even for Black women. I'm sorry, it is. Like, I do feel like the continuation of this topic leads into why you have Black women on the front lines with their little girls during these Black Lives Matter protests. Like, you are continuing to set up the dynamic of the black woman feeling like she has to do everything on her own, and you're teaching your daughter to do that, even though it broke you apart, it made you feel frustrated and resentful towards the whole entire world. But how dare your daughter be able to have something better and have a man protect her? No, she needs to get to the front line and protect me, right? Because a lot of us did have to play our mom's best friend, our mom's therapist, her confidant from a very, very young age. We the little girls know all the business about what daddy doing and what he ain't doing, or whatever the case may be. And a lot of that part is jealousy, especially when you become a teenager. That relationship, Vincent was speaking on it, that relationship dynamic between mothers and daughters. The teenager is starting to see what she does not want to become, and the mother is trying to beat out whatever she don't like about herself and make sure you're not better than her, right? Like that's that's part of the dynamic that we're speaking on. So when you do become a teenager and you keep seeing, I mean, the embarrassment, people want to post themselves getting in full on brawls with their daughters on Facebook and things of that nature. You seeing that child stand up for you, to you, because that child is tired, right? You seeing it more now, more than ever, right? You tired of the hitting, and when you realize, okay, we at the same height now, you start to fight back, right? But also, there's still even damage to those who won't fight back, because there's so many areas to where you don't feel like you can stand up for yourself, or that you have a voice, or that you have any license to your own body and your mind. Also, I wanted to touch on when Atasha was speaking about the effects of the mother hitting the son. Another part is he might marry somebody, a woman that hits him. You get what I'm saying? Like that's it's a continuum. It's a whole cycle of stuff that this pain, when you are already a traumatized person, when you continue to move that way without healing, your 7-year old self that got hit across the face with a shoe will come to seek payment from everybody you fall in line with, especially from those who can't fight back. Um, um, let's see here. Charles, you had just came in. I want you to talk to us, give us your perspective about this topic about hitting your kids.
Hey everybody. My name is Charles. I work in schools. I serve as director of schools for a charter network down in Mississippi. I've been an educator for over 10 years now, and was a school principal for a couple of years. Founded a school. Actually, founded the first charter school in the state of Mississippi. And Latonya and I have been friends since college, actually. And a lot of a lot of the work, this conversation really strikes an interesting chord for me, because it's like all day long, I have children inside of a school building that I'm expected to not only teach, but to manage, to slightly manage their behavior and their bodies, if you will, for about 10 hours a day. And though I am positioned in a state that corporal punishment is legal, the practice of corporal punishment is actually not really present in any of the states where corporal punishment actually exists. And so it just kind of begs the difference, like, how do we bring the traumas of our past? Because like those are things that get carried over generations of time. So it's like our enslaved ancestors, like that stuff it just continues in our line, and it's up to us to kind of break that apart. And so I try to run schools in a very different way for that reason. Being a victim of emotional abuse as a kid myself, I am very aware of the impact of those traumas on kids in the school. And I don't want that for kids that I have. And that's always been my mission as an educator. And I always thought of school as my safe haven, but it didn't do it fully. So I needed to create that true experience for kids. And in my school building, kids have a voice because they're people, and I treat kids as people because they're real humans. And so that being said, they experience emotions and feelings. Uh, they have thoughts and opinions. They do research. They create arguments, right? They can do all of the same things. And so they need spaces to do that. And so I've really worked with my teachers about not being so worried about managing kids' bodies, but helping children make decisions and guide them in that process of doing it for themselves. And so when kids make choices in schools that are not great choices, I don't like to call children bad. I don't even like the label. Um, it's also traumatizing as well. So it doesn't even have to get to the hitting for me. It's in language. And that's even enough. And so it's like we don't say that kids are bad. We say that kids make poor choices. They make poor choices because teaching is something that behavior is something that we teach. The norms of how we function and move in a society are things that we teach. And so kids have to have a space to be able to make mistakes and learn from them in order to gain them as things they do independently for themselves. So I see elementary school as the space for that. And that's how I run school. Is where when kids make poor choices, they have the opportunity to reflect on why that choice was made. And those choices always fall into two categories. They're either a lagging skill or an unmet need. I have never had a conversation with a kid about a choice that has not either been directed at a need, meaning I didn't get enough sleep, I didn't get enough food, I felt unsafe at home, or it was I didn't know how to do this topic or this subject that we were doing in class today, or this skill that we were doing was really hard and really challenging. Those are always the two categories, 100% of the time. I bet my whole salary and my job on it, right? And because of that, what I spend a lot of time doing and teach teachers how to do is how to help kids navigate what are the replacement behaviors to show and advocate for yourself. So my school building, there's no rule that kids can't take a nap. We don't have a scheduled nap time, which seems really weird in a school that has elementary school. But that's because kids can stay awake. But if they can't, they can go to sleep. But they have to advocate for that for themselves. So they do. And so when kids are like doing stuff that show they're tired and they like make this choice, we have a conversation that was like, oh, I was really tired. I didn't get sleep last night. I said, okay, well, you were tired. So did your teacher know that you were tired? No. Were there people, you had to tell her. And then they advocate, and then you go take a 15-minute nap in the office, right? So we do a lot of that work with helping kids learn how to use their voice to advocate. And so it's like, if somebody does something to you, it's not a reason to hit them. It's a conversation that you have. And they have to learn how to have the conversation. And what I've noticed in education is like, especially for people of color, is like there's a lot of independence forced on kids really early. And again, that stems from our history with slavery and then transitioning out of that without a roadmap.
It is. You're right. There's a whole lot of they should just know.
They should just
they
know.
should just know. That's not how behavior works. That's not how kids. That's not right. Kids thrive off of motivation, and sometimes a lot of things that they will do, it'll be for you. Sometimes they're going to give you good behavior because you want it, but they really want something else.
Right. And
they might be giving you good behavior, and maybe they just want a bag of chips. They don't care about them good grades. They don't care that they supposed to, because they supposed to just sit still. Kids don't thrive off they just supposed to do. Sometimes they might just supposed to sit still because you know what? If you be still, you know what? Either you might extra 10 minutes on the iPad.
But we don't do that. Like grown-ups don't do it. I literally lead staff meetings and I just want to pause for a moment and I just want to let you see what I'm seeing right now. The very things that tick you off and literally
what they do in the meeting.
Your nerves, you sit in my meetings and do the exact same thing. But do you see me react that same way? Absolutely not, right? And so it's because there's human nature to do certain things. It's human nature when you hear certain things to react and have conversation, right? And to react. When somebody says something to you, say something you don't like, it is natural to scowl and to be upset and to be angry. And it's like, as teachers, we should be validating that. It's like, I tell kids, like, I get angry too. I understand that you're angry. If you need time to be angry, let's take it. We have to work on a solution.
They don't want to reward behavior they feel like kids should just know that they're supposed to do.
And it's like, when do they get it? When did they learn that? When did it become natural?
Right.
And
whoever taught them.
So much of that, just even how we started the conversation, is so much of that is rooted in I'm the adult, you're the child, so I'm automatically right and you're wrong, right? And so it becomes you're just supposed to know that, and I'm just
Mm-hmm.
supposed to punish you because you, even though I'm doing the same thing, because this child is seeing you on Zoom, your Zoom job, not paying attention, doing everything under the sun, and then you pop them because they're not doing the same thing in school, right? They're literally doing the exact same thing. And there's this book, Pedagogy of the Oppressed.
Yeah.
Which I love that book, Paulo Freire. And one of the things that he talks about is it's oftentimes more dangerous when those who were oppressed become the oppressor, right? And it's dangerous for those who oppress them because the fear is they want revenge. But it's also dangerous at times because the person who was oppressed, who becomes the oppressor, kind of gets a thrill off of making sure someone else experiences something similar. Like Vincent talked about it, like, pledging a fraternity, sorority, like I'm in a sorority, right? And so, at some point in time, someone has to say, so stop, right? At what point do I need you to feel that way? Okay, I don't. And then at what point is this me just simply exacting this out? Like, well, I took it, so you should be able to take it too, right? So much of that is rooted in that we think, well, you're just supposed to know how to behave. Why is this child supposed to know how to sit for an hour at the age of 6? We got to get to that, because you can't sit for an hour at work, and I know you can't, because if I supervise you, I know I can't get you on the conference call to save money. And so it's fearful in the fact that there are a lot of things in this world that we have to show proficiency and safety in. One of them, unfortunately, is not children and how we parent children. There's nothing that safeguards how we, parent and protect kids. We just have this belief, you just supposed to know, but this child is 10, how are they just supposed to know that? And so you hit them, and then, or as the teacher, you're mad, but you turn around and do the same thing. So it almost becomes a question of, so if their first consequence for that child is to get beat, what should your consequence be? I can't beat you, but do I automatically fire you? Do I automatically give you
Come
a
on.
write-up and one more write-up and you out, right? Because it can be high stakes. It can be that. So it becomes parallel process. So should I do that? Because maybe then if you get your version of a beating, I'm gonna have a better staff member on my team. But yeah.
And and that's how teachers but teachers possess that all the time and like want to put kids out of class. And I was like, it's a thing I refuse. Like, I went to Vanderbilt, the first Black student at Vanderbilt took classes outside of a classroom door to get his degree. There won't be a single Black kid in my school building who's not in a classroom. That's why I don't have a culture dean's office. Like, I'm not holding kids in a place that's not in classrooms. Like, they're not in class, they're at home. Those are your two options. Class or home. Those are your two options. So it's like, but it's because of that mentality. It's like, my teachers also are not at the front just lecturing at kids. We had to shift away from this ownership that we're taking away from this voice. And it is passed down, right? It's like, it is that slave owner, slave mentality of like, I have to be right and be the master and drive all the thing and be always in control. You don't. And folks are so scared of like what it means to give kids some power. And I'm here to tell you, there's no threat at all. Like, you can let kids be amongst themselves and teach and collaborate and work together, and they can learn and produce high quality results and think at a high level. I have kindergartners who in their kindergarten year writing incomplete sentences.
Thank you for what you're doing in the school system.
You know
Because right
like,
before the pandemic, I worked in a public school system. I thank you for what you're doing in the school system.
Yes,
it's refreshing to hear, because
yes,
I'm telling you, it's like, I get overwhelmed with how things are, and it's not hard to change. Like, it's just always the same way of doing stuff. Like I have a thing where I do not call kids bad, because if how is a 3-year-old bad? They're 3. Only been in the world for 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, how can they be bad? You have to teach them. You have to help them. But Atasha, something that you said that really like hit home with me was when you said talked about the son who gets hit by their mother and how they then are in future relationships. My ex-husband could not stay faithful, had a problem cheating all his life, and he was the oldest and got spanked. But the key was I never connected that to, I mean, I know there's something with him and his mom, because I truly believe that when they can heal that relationship, he will be able to stay faithful to a woman. But it's like I never connected that to infidelity. You know, good man treated me like gold. We couldn't stay faithful. You know what I mean? And it's just like, and we got divorced, which is devastating in itself. But it's just like I never connected that. So I think, you know, thank you for that, because I've been trying to figure out like what happened. But I remember him saying to me, like, I never felt loved,
Yeah.
and all I wanted was to be loved, but I always got a belt across my back.
Yep.
That, and he ended up
I,
selling drugs, going to jail. And I met him while he was in. We got married, came home. He was Christian, you know, on fire for God. But as soon as he got that license again, everything went downhill.
Right.
I
Because
mean,
those
and it was
skills that
just
we
like,
learned. Yeah.
I keep saying to him, you know, and then anytime, and this was the part that gets me, anytime because I know I'm not his therapist, you know what I'm saying? But it was like anytime I would get clinical, as he would say, he was shut down.
I,
Yeah. Because
And my
there's,
thing
yeah.
was, I'm not trying to therapize you, but you now have 3 children. I mean, he had 2 children by 2 different women while we were married. And there might be some other ones that he don't know about. I'm out of it now. But the thing of it is that you, it's like you couldn't, it's just like so deep, because I'm like, you got to go to counseling. You've got to talk to someone. I got a black man you can talk to, a good one you can talk to, but never did it. I'm talking to the pastor. But what is the pastor telling you? Because it ain't
Right.
working. And it's just like, and it's like that same old thing. But then we'll shack up with a woman real quick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because you know it's what's
You know, we'll
familiar,
shack
right?
up with the woman real
Yeah.
quick. And it's just like I never connected that to, yeah,
but
I never
it's
connected it to that.
insecurity.
And
It
love his
creates an
mom.
insecurity.
Yeah, yeah, loves his mom. But it's like, and then when I said to his mom one time, I said, you know, if a child tells you they never felt loved, they never felt loved. You can't
Absolutely.
tell him, oh, I loved you like I love the rest of my children, because that's not how whatever you did was interpreted to him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because he was truly like the prodigal son.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, and here I come, you know, totally different, older, a big girl. I mean, totally different from what he's ever had. And we had a good thing until it just, I don't know, you know, it's just like you, I guess you can only hold it together for so long. I don't know. But the
Yeah.
thing of it is that I'm like, counseling, you know, and we need more African American brothers being on the other side. So when those guys walk in, and it might not be the traditional face to face, let's sit on the couch type of thing. It might be, hey, we're going to meet here and let's just talk. We're going to meet on
Absolutely.
Zoom and let's have a conversation. And we got to think outside the box to reach our people. And I'm really big on that. We really do have to think outside of the box, because children are being raised by women, not seeing their dad, you know, and it's like it's just going from generation to generation to generation. It's and
It's true.
it's crazy. It's a mess.
Yeah,
Right.
You
And
know?
so
we can go
when you
all
think
over
of that,
with that one. It's connected to so many things.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about that, a lot of times when somebody is over sexual, and the situational therapist, I don't know how many of you guys watch him, but he also brought up the fact, I think it's also in the Spare the Children book, by Stacey Patton, that when you hit a female child, it causes their body to have this response to want to defend themselves. So it can send them into early stages of puberty,
mhm,
right? And they would do that. They would make sure to do that younger and younger and younger so they can go ahead and start breathing that child. And then your body is more developed. And then they had this whole thing about, okay, because you're more voluptuous, that means I need to tame your body and violate you and rape you and things of that nature to tame you because you're a sexual beast or whatever the case may be. And we love to call our little black girls fast, but also how it connects to our black boys is that they were doing the same thing. They were getting raped too, things of that
Mm-hmm.
nature. They just don't classify it as rape because the black
Mm-hmm.
community is extremely homophobic, right? And very has a lot of toxic masculinity in that space. So a lot of times when you see all this cheating and things of that nature, that's a void, right? And
Mm-hmm.
when you're taught that your body is not yours, that is not a value of you, and people start to treat you as such. Like we always teach the girls, oh, value yourself, don't be a Jezebel, but we don't teach the boys that, right? So that also means that their body does not belong to them. Like black people, if you listen to our music, if you watch our movies, we're the most sexualized out of all the different culture. We can't have a song that's not about sex out there. Like it's very difficult. It's Jesus and sex and Jesus. That's all that it is, and that has a lot to do with, like we said, like this topic, as much as people don't understand, you think we just want you to stop hitting your kids because of CPS. No, like there are some serious ramifications, and 9 times out of 10, because of the places that I've worked with adults to kids, from underprivileged to privileged, every rapist that I had was raped.
Was
Every
raped.
murderer has been abused. Like it's a cycle. There's always a reason, a never ending story as to why. And a lot of times that person who can't be unfaithful, that's a void they're trying to fill. It has nothing to do with you. Period. Nothing. It's like
Right.
I'm trying to, how many bodies till I finally feel the love that I never got.
Or the other part of that too, how do I fill that void? And also, I'm going to be with this person until their belief system is I deserve more.
Mm-hmm.
Or they set a boundary that says, this is what I need and require from you. I need us to be as healthy as we can. And in order for us to do that, here's what I'm going to need you to do. And here's what I'm going to do. Right. And if I've never, I say this, when we're looking at the dynamics between men and women, and there are going to be some similarities between men and men, but in the dynamic between men and women, you sometimes will meet a man who is straight, but does not like women,
Mm-hmm.
right? Who enjoys sex with a woman, enjoys being around women, but does not like women, right? And that's reflected in his movements. It's reflected in how he views women. It's reflected in how he treats them, how he regards them, how maybe he regards even the women that he's related to, because he may be attracted to women, but not like women. And so much of that is rooted in what did I see growing up? And so did the woman in my life give me the following? And if she didn't, there's a chance that you really don't like women.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point in time, there has to be a realization, not that you can't ever like women, but you might not like women because of, as a child, the formative woman to you represented the following, right?
Yep.
And I think so many times, you know, our brothers sometimes really are resistant to counseling because and you can be emotional but not be in tune with your emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thought is, man, I know how to cry, I don't need to go to counseling. Well, yeah, you may know how to cry, but that doesn't mean that you understand that you have the tools needed to fight whatever life storms are going to happen. There is a fear of having to uncover, maybe I did not have the following, or maybe I've let my attractiveness lead all this time in my life. And so as a result, if I strip that away, what am I left with? And maybe I'm not that attractive anymore. There's a fear. Nobody wants to face that, understandably. But we have to in order to build some healthy Black communities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would say that's spot on. I as someone who's endured abuse myself, is like I was not able to maintain strong, successful relationships for a really long time, and it was because I was refusing to seek therapy. And it was going to therapy, but actually realizing the true purpose of therapy and like how I'm supposed to engage with it. And I think people put a lot of weight on therapists to do the work that they are supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Therapy is about your self-work, but the therapist is your mirror. They're able to like allow you to see yourself and then ask you questions to help you know, is that the self you want to be or the self you don't. And that was what it was for me. Is like I got to see myself as an outsider and figured out the ways that I need to navigate to change that for myself, and to heal, and to move forward. Um, but it's a challenge, and there's so much stigma behind that because of the way misogyny is set up, and the way masculinity is set up to go alongside of that too. Um, so it's a challenge. But
It's
that's also why it's the power of creating a school where kids are used to expressing themselves and like sharing their thoughts and feelings, because then they're more open to doing that. Mental health was a really important attribute of my school, and so we have therapists, and we do play therapy in our school, because we want kids to be able to communicate instead of doing other things to express themselves.
oh my goodness. I definitely love that. That is absolutely amazing. And I've also worked in the school system. It was two charter schools. One was 99% Hispanic. The other one was 99% black. The 99% Hispanic school, when I would meet with those kids, I'll be like, okay, I want to bring your mom in. Oh, no, 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 no. We can't, because in their culture, it's like, no, you supposed to keep everything that goes on at home secret. Um, and in the black school, it was hard to even get the parents to show up to anything. But I remember having a conversation because I wanted to create a program for therapy with teachers. Like, why don't we have something in place where teachers can get free therapy? Because when I'm sitting in the classroom, a lot of people think just because a person is teaching that they have it all together, and they don't. And I remember having a conference with all of the teachers that they let me speak to them about, their mental health and what they should be doing and how to approach the kids. So I would say, okay, there's a reason why Cynthia is sleeping in your class every day, right? That might be the only time she gets to sleep. She may have walked the streets the whole entire night and don't have a place to lay her head. There's a reason why Dante is eating in your class. That might be the only time Dante gets a chance to eat. There may not be any food on the table. And I said, okay, if there's a kid that comes to your class and disrupts it every single time, getting into it with you, a lot of times they have identified you as mom today, or you dad today. So instead of you going back and forth after class, pull them to the side. Hey, what's going on? And it was crazy because in the black school, the white teachers was like, "No, I'm not doing that. Well, that's not my place. Like that's none of my business. I don't think he'll be receptive to that." And I'm just like, so you coming in here working at this underprivileged school off of in South Central Los Angeles off of Crenshaw, thinking you gonna play this superhero, and you not looking at these black kids like something may be going on mentally at home. You just writing them off that they just bad. Like what how much would it take for you to say what is going on at home? Like how much for you to care, right? Because a lot of times that's why they acting out. They want that type of attention, and sometimes it gets to the point where any intention, when of course if they being spanked at home, and oh they not doing good in school and they getting in trouble and they acting out, and the only option the parent has is to spank but not to talk, it's like, where can I go so that somebody would hear me? And also, it also teaches other people how to treat your child. Sometimes you can hit a child so much that that is all they respond to. Like my own experience having white teachers in elementary school, I had one grab my face and threaten to kick me out of class because she thought I stole something. I didn't steal anything. I had another teacher slam me up against the wall from laughing, a white teacher, from laughing too loud in her class. So you teach other people, when you continue this narrative of, okay, they just need to be hit for them to behave, you teaching other people. Why do you think you have so many unarmed black people dying? You watching it because they fear you, right? They feel like in order to take you down, I have to meet you with force. So if you already got people outside of your household looking at your kids like that, why are you not creating a safe space for them?
Yeah. Adults trigger kids all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the classrooms in my schools they're recorded. They're not audio recorded. They're just video recorded. Um, and one of the things that I typically do is like when someone is sent to my office, I do an investigation. So I turn into Law and Order SVU. Like I'm getting all the details. I'm talking to everybody. I'm interviewing everybody because I'm getting a full picture before I make any decisions or hand out any consequences. And oftentimes, what I find is it's like as I'm investigating, start getting deeper and deeper, and I'm like, oh, the grown up said what? The grown up was where? The grown up did what? Oh, so this wasn't your fault. Great. So you're gonna go back and have a seat, and I'm gonna go talk to the grown up. Grown up. So when you said this, when you snatched such paper, when you moved so and so's clip, when you've done X, Y, and Z, this is what started this whole thing. So what could we have done differently, right? It's just like the adults don't even see the ways that like the child rearing that we've experienced has manifested into the way that they act as teachers. Like Black teachers are needed in education, but they're some of the scariest people because we tend to lead toward this very like aggressive, like there's a name type that we call it. It's slipping my mind right now. We call it as a negative controller. Is what we call in education. And it's one who has to lead through fear, which is exactly the same premise of spanking. And it has social impact in the classroom and with kids when you do that as a strategy. So that naturally means that so does spanking, right? So the parallels of verbal go just as hand in hand with the physical. But that's also where typically Black educators tend to sit. And it's like, those are things that trigger kids, and you're not creating those spaces that they have opportunity to learn and to grow. And then they have to go on the defensive and protect. So it's like that's a natural reaction. So when you come at me crazy, I'm gonna match that energy. And like I watch it all the time, kids laughing in adults' faces. And I'm like, yo, they got you today. Kids' behavior shouldn't trigger your feelings. So if you're upset, if you're bothered, and their actions have just put you in your mood, like they won today. You took an L, and that's sad for you. That's really sad for you. Because as a school principal, I don't engage with that. It's like your emotions are yours, they're not mine. You're having a bad day. That's unfortunate. I'm so sad. I can help you get through yours bad day, but Mr. Sandler's gonna have a great day today. You can join me. Let's figure that out. But it's like that's a shift. It's like that's not work that is happening in a lot of spaces, and it's work that I am trying to do within my field and spread that around, because it's like this is the way that we reimagine education and we create education as liberation for ourselves. It's like you got to create a space where Black folks can feel safe, and that sense of family and community as they navigate and learn how to be successful in life. And I think that's one of the greatest gifts of HBCUs. And if that's an experience that can exist there's no reason why it can't exist in the K-12 experience. You just got to do it where it doesn't also embed all of the tenets of white supremacy and the essence and presence of trauma. And it's got to be responsive to that.
Yeah, you definitely right about that. I wish every Black kid could go to a HBCU. I wish I could mandate that happens. But I know Atasha and Vincent spoke on it a little bit, but we may need to have a conversation offline about the slave mentality when it comes to the National Panhellenic Council. So because that's
We
a
can
big
have
one
it.
right there too.
Hey, we can have it.
FEMA
We can
too.
have it online. We can
Up.
have it online. I mean, look, man. I pay my dues, and
No, that's right,
at the
Vincent.
end,
My check clears real quick. No, don't.
exactly. So we live in a free society, and I let them know like off rip, like, nah, bruh, nah.
I'm good, and if you got something to say, hey, we could fade it out. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. But, at the end of the day, right is right. And we
Mhm.
have to be uncompromising on all fronts, from children to adults. We have to be uncompromising on this topic because really what it is, what we're really talking about here is violence. We're talking about
Yes.
violence, inflicted upon each other. We got so much energy we inflict upon each other, but then when the white supremacists come around, we ain't doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? Got all that mouth and all that energy. So for me personally, I just keep the same energy across the board.
Mhm.
Where you talking about a fraternity, sorority, you talking about in the streets, you talking about our children, we talking about in the church, everywhere. We just have to keep the same energy. And unfortunately, that's the tool of white supremacy, is that white supremacy thrives off of confusion. So
Yes.
we've been bred to be confused, and there has to be a glitch in the matrix somewhere. So again, Latanya, I know we finna wrap things up. You gotta go to work in the morning, but just thank you so much for bringing us all together. And if we need to have another conversation about that, let's do it. Let's get it all on the table. Let's do it.
Yes, I would love to have more conversations. I need I need y'all to get some Apple product, I guess. 'Cause I definitely am doing it every Wednesday on Clubhouse at 7:15 Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, we can definitely have more Zoom conversations. I kind of wanted to, but we don't have time. I kind of did want to take apart that post that I made and go through all those comments. So we can go ahead and debunk all those different myths that when it comes to talking about this particular subject that people try to throw out. I feel like we have people on here that can give you the education that you need so that you understand why that is not a good excuse for you to hit your child. I think that is powerful, and I'm so happy that you guys, decided to join me today. So, if anybody, I'm going to give everybody 2 minutes to go ahead and wrap up any last thoughts. Who, I'll put a timer on. Who wants to go first?
I will go first because I gotta go do notes.
Oh, I hate
Um,
notes. Girl, I missed it.
but yeah, this was really good, and it was nice to meet everybody. And like for me, this is a perfect time Sunday night because I'm usually doing notes. So um, I'm gonna be up late, but that's okay. But this was very energizing and invigorating. And when you work in places that are predominantly white, it's nice to come together with people, professionals, to just get it, and so it challenges me to carry it no matter where I go, like Vincent said, across the board. Because yeah, we went from infancy all the way up to adulthood. So it's been real. Gotta go, y'all, but I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Denise.
Bye bye.
Who wants to go next?
I'll go
I
next.
just
This
say
is
I'm
Carla.
really, oh, go
Uh,
ahead, Carla. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. That's okay. This is Carla. I don't think I shared that I'm a licensed professional counselor. And I just want to say this was much needed. We need to continue the conversation. I'm just so happy and excited that we have a male perspective, a couple males on here, because we don't get that. I get that more because I do meet with my men in my Monday groups for 24 weeks. But I just commend all the males that join. And Latanya, thank you for this platform for us to have these critical and courageous conversations.
Thank you,
I echo
Carla.
Carla. I think it's really helpful that we have some brothers on the call who are really able to give another lens, and I really hope that these conversations continue. And I think then as it goes forward, I think it's really important to, expand this platform to really have these conversations and discussions and I'm thankful it's not ending and is continuing. I think we have opened up a lot today, but that's what, helping professionals do. We continue peeling back the onion, right? And so I think we peel back a few layers, and I think we'll continue to do that. And I'm excited to be around like-minded individuals who really want to advance our Black communities, because that is the ultimate goal. So I'm excited to do some work with you all.
It feels good.
Thank you, Tasha. You're awesome. Who wants to go next?
Oh, I can. Um, I am a behavior specialist and certified life coach. I've worked in pretty much every aspect of mental health, psychiatric hospitals, um, substance abuse, school systems, outpatient clinics, and now currently teletherapy. So I pretty much got a well-rounded view in home. So pretty much a well-rounded view of the mental health perspective, and I'm just happy to keep continuing the conversation on this subject, especially in this community.
Thank you, Kima, my beautiful line sister. Okay, who wants to go next?
I can go. Just grateful to be able to share in this space and to engage with each of you. I'm hoping to take the work that I'm doing out on my own and create my own network of schools that are fashioned after the ones that I described with us tonight. So just keep me in your thoughts, please. There's some opportunities that I'm pursuing and in very near terms. So hopefully that will be a reality really soon. So just keep me lifted, please.
Of course. Thank you so much, Charles, and thank you for all that you do in the system. We appreciate it. Who wants to go next? Vincent, did you go already?
No, I didn't go, but Christopher can go. That's fine.
Okay, Chris, you want to go?
I'll make it brief. I just wanted to really thank everybody for coming in and being able to provide your experience, to be able to uncover certain things, make certain things more clear for the rest of us, and really just being here with your heart, your heart and your mind, not just here to build your brand or something of that nature, but really being here for the community and for the culture and for people as a whole. I'm very grateful for that. And in the future, as much as can be done, or as many resources as can be brought to the table, just for us to all be able to go into it, receive it, and do everything we can, because like we said before, we got other people trying to come into the spaces and making moves and doing things, but it's not us. Then this is for us. This is supposed to be truly for us, by us. And at the end of the day, it's it's our humanity on the line. It's our survival. You know, it's our children and our grandmothers. We've watched so many peoples be wiped off the planet completely. We know this. We've seen this like it's nothing. So we just got to stay on it and stay vigilant and be consistent, because it really is about us. We could not be here. That's it. So thank you again. Much love to everybody, and please continue to fight.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I want to pick
Thank
up
you,
what Brother
Chris.
Chris said about and again, Latanya, this is
Who
my
wants to go
third time saying
next?
thank you, but thank you. I just needed it personally, being in a white space. Um, you oftentimes it's like, man, who can I go to talk about this stuff? So seeing your post and then putting this together is definitely does something for me and for everyone on the call. And I just want to say as a lasting thing, as Brother Chris said, that our humanity is on the line. It really is on the line. I do believe that the Black community is at a crossroads right now. And so, yes, we can focus on police brutality and that type of thing, but we also need to focus on brutality that we inflict upon each other, and especially that we inflict upon our children. So it's easy, focusing on police brutality is low hanging fruit. That's always going to be the case. It's never going to go away. Not now. That doesn't mean you don't speak out about it, and that doesn't mean you march and do things you need to do. But at the same time, you still have to have the same energy for what we do to each other. And obviously that's a result of white supremacy. But if we're not talking about it, if we're not addressing it, how can we get to a place of creating practical solutions to address it? And so that's the main thing. So I'm all about solutions. So I'm looking forward to the conversation continuing, and not just the conversation continuing, but actually some tangible solutions. I have an 11-year-old daughter. I have another daughter that's on the way. So I'm looking forward, before this call, just getting with my daughter and going over what we need to do for the week, practicing her tests, her skills, and if this, and then just reinforcing, using positive reinforcement methods to get the message across. Even when she stumbles, still positive reinforcement, redirection. We do not hit our child. So practicing what we preach and making sure that that's out there in the space. So again, thank you, Latanya and everyone. It was nice meeting you all, and I look forward to doing the work with you all in the future.
Thank you so much, Vincent. We appreciate you. So that's it, right, for today. Be on the lookout. You'll see this conversation on our social media platforms. And if you want to continue the conversation with us, even if you want to come on here and disagree with everything, as long as it's getting the attention that we need, we will argue with you. It's okay. You're worth it, and your kids are worth it, and so is your whole entire bloodline. You're worth this fight, okay? And I just want to thank everybody again, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Good
night.
night, everyone. Stay
Peace
safe.
and
Good
blessings
night.
to
Stay safe.
everybody.
Thank you, guys.